Welcome, guys, to the weekly live chat. This is number 72, and I'm like 25 minutes late. I'm sorry about that, guys. So, but here I am. So I'm here. So that's all that matters. But it is the 72nd live chat that we've done since we started doing these on the channel. It is August 31st, 2022. I don't know where the year is possibly going. I mean, the time has just flown by. The channel currently has 4,667 subscribers. So we're almost to 5,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, go subscribe this very second. And if you guys been waiting, I'm sorry about that. I was just running late today. So it is what it is. I'm here now, and I guess that's all that matters. But I see most of you guys have already done it. But do me a favor, if you haven't already liked the stream, I would greatly appreciate it. We do these live chats every single Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, or in this case, 6:25 Eastern. But we got a lot to talk about. We got UFC Paris this Saturday. Main event, Ciryl Gane, Tai Tuivasa. Co-main event, Robert Whittaker, Marvin Vettori. Some other solid fights on the card we can talk about as well. We got UFC 279, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, which, I mean, I've beat that dead horse over and over and over again. I hate the card. I might even make another video talking about just everything I hate about the card in general in one video and just, really get into it because it drives me nuts. But we're going to talk about on this live chat, can Nate Diaz win? Because we've kind of talked about it here and there, short periods of time. I've answered questions, but we're going to answer that question on today's live chat. Can Nate Diaz pull off the upset? I also want to talk about, there's been a big topic going around this past week about the trade between the UFC and ONE Championship, Ben Askren for Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, who got the better of the trade. Because there's a narrative that's following that story around that has been driving me nuts. And I don't think I've ever talked about it. So, with Mighty Mouse's recent winning his flyweight title back in ONE Championship against Adriano Moraes, I think is how you pronounce his last name. I always forget. Guys pronounce that spelling a different way, and I always forget how he specifically pronounces it. But he gets his flyweight title back in absolute brutal fashion. I live streamed that event last Friday is when it happened. What a win from Demetrious. I'm so happy for him. One of the most likable fighters in MMA history. And a guy that just gets nowhere near the amount of respect that he deserves. So I want to talk about that on the stream. And as always, I'm going to answer every single one of your guys' questions, or at least most of you guys. Sometimes it gets a little crazy later in the chat, and it's hard to read all the questions. So sometimes I have to kind of pick through and do all that stuff. But let's start off with UFC Paris, okay? And then I'm going to get to your guys' questions because I already started a little bit late. So let's start off with UFC Paris. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up the card. UFC Paris Tapology. UFC Paris Tapology. And I forgot to tweet out that I was going live, but it is what it is. Okay, here we are. We're going to go through the card a little bit, all the actual fights that I'm particularly excited for. But I already have a prediction video for Ciryl Gane versus Tai Tuivasa, full breakdown and prediction video on the channel, as well as the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. So you guys can check those out on the channel after the stream. UFC Paris. Okay, there we go. So as far as the main event, we've talked about this since it's been announced. And I broke it down in my breakdown and prediction video. I don't see a path to victory for Tai Tuivasa outside of a one-punch KO. I just don't see it happening. And even with the KO possibility, I don't think that's highly likely. I really don't. Tai Tuivasa has very few strengths as far as his skill set goes. And that sounds crazy. He's number 3 ranked in the world, something like that. He has gotten by for far too long on his power. And we've seen this happen to plenty of fighters. I mean, Francis Ngannou got to be the UFC champion based off a little bit of defensive wrestling and his power. So it's hard to say that Tai Tuivasa can't win this, because when you have the type of power he has in his hands, it's always possible. But Tai Tuivasa is just so well-rounded, guys. Great footwork, um, just great technical ability, light on his feet, good combinations, good variety of attack. And Tai Tuivasa really just has his power. He's pretty good in the clinch. He has pretty good clinch in dirty boxing. He has a great chin, but his chin's been tested so many times. It's only a matter of time before Tai Tuivasa gets put to sleep. I mean, he was hurt multiple times by Derek Lewis. He was hurt multiple times, or he was hurt once by Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy got overzealous and got finished himself. So Tai Tuivasa, outside of his, his chin or his durability and his power and his, he's pretty good in the clinch, there's just not a whole lot of advantages for him. He has some good leg kicks. That's another thing. I mentioned this in my full breakdown. But you look at Ciryl Gane, not only is he a giant heavyweight, he's like that new breed of heavyweight. Super light on his feet, constantly circling the cage, constantly changing stances, great jab, very high fight IQ. He's not going to get into a slugfest with Tai Tuivasa. He's not going to fall for that trap of getting into a slugfest with him. He's going to pick him apart. Tai Tuivasa has a lot of forward pressure. I think Ciryl Gane can out-grapple him. Tai Tuivasa has shown to be exploited on the ground. He was exploited on the ground by JDS after he got rocked. He was exploited on the ground by Sergey Spivak. He's been exploited on the ground in every single one of his losses, I believe. And I think Ciryl Gane not only can pick him apart from the outside, as Tai Tuivasa starts to get a little bit aggressive and pressing forward and looking for a big shot, I think if he gets a little bit too close, Ciryl Gane's going to duck under, blast the double leg, take him down in the center of the cage. It would honestly not shock me. I don't know what the odds are, and I'm not a betting man anyway. Ciryl Gane by submission would actually not be a bad bet. I almost took Ciryl Gane by submission. I ended up picking him by, I think, 4th round or 3rd round TKO. So, I could see Ciryl Gane taking him down. I mean, Tai Tuivasa has shown limited skills off of his back. Every time he's been taken down, I mean, JDS rocked him, got on top of him, full mounted him, and then he had no answer for it. He couldn't get out of the position. Sergey Spivak dominated him on the ground and eventually submits him. Ciryl Gane has submission ability. So it would not shock me. I think I went in 3rd round or 4th round Ciryl Gane TKO. It wouldn't shock me if we see a 2nd or 3rd round submission from Ciryl Gane as well. This is a fight that makes sense in terms of the rankings and where both guys are at in their current careers. But as soon as I saw this fight announced, I said, this is not going to end well for Tai Tuivasa. And I get it. He can defy the odds. He can knock him out. We've seen what Leon Edwards did recently. But I just don't think it's super likely in this particular scenario. Ciryl Gane doesn't really make mistakes. He went 5 rounds with Francis Ngannou, didn't even get clipped, really. Didn't really get touched. He's gone, I think, 3 or 4 rounds with Derek Lewis, never got touched. Now, all of a sudden, we're expected to believe Tai Tuivasa is going to find the chin? No. Gane is defensively responsible, great footwork, circles well, has a high fight IQ, knows when to mix in the grappling, has a great variety of attacks, has great jiu-jitsu, has decent offensive wrestling. It's just a bad recipe for Tai Tuivasa. And I'd be pretty shocked if Tai Tuivasa comes out victorious on Saturday. Also, quick reminder, guys. Let me go to the website so I don't mess up the times, but I'm pretty sure I already know the times. Saturday is UFC Paris. Obviously, we're talking about that right now. And because it's in Paris, it's a different timing than typical for UFC cards. The prelims start at 12 p.m. Eastern. The main card starts at 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's an early start time depending on your area. And I just wanted to remind you guys, make sure you sleep in your Venom gear on Friday night, so that way you can roll right out of bed on Saturday and you're ready to go for UFC Paris. You're already rocking your Venom gear before you go to sleep. Okay, so I got Ciryl Gane. I think he finishes him. I don't think Tai Tuivasa is going to be able to go 5 hard rounds unless the pace is just non-existent. He's never gone 5 rounds. Ciryl Gane's gone 5 rounds multiple times. It's crazy because Ciryl Gane, relative to his record, has limited MMA experience. I know he's done a lot of Muay Thai as well, so it's not like he's super inexperienced in combat sports. But the amount of octagon time he's had compared to Tai Tuivasa, especially in the UFC, just seems like vastly mismatched. And he's shown that he can go hard 5 rounds. He went 5 rounds with Volkov, Jairzinho, Francis Ngannou. I think he went 3 or 4 rounds with Derek Lewis. Let me just double check that. Where did he finish Derek Lewis? He finished Derek Lewis at the end of the 3rd round. So, almost a three whole rounds against Derek Lewis. So I really don't think it's super possible for Tai Tuivasa to win this fight. I'm going Ciryl Gane. I think he TKOs him in the later rounds, mixes in the grappling well, and possibly, honestly, if you really want to place a fun bet if the odds are good, bet Gane by submission, because I could see that happening. Like I'll say Ciryl Gane 3rd round head and arm choke. I could really see that happening in the main event at UFC Paris. So moving on, the co-main event, Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori. Again, I have prediction videos. Out. You can watch them. I love this fight because this is 2 high-level guys for sure. I think Robert Whittaker's better everywhere, though. I just think he's better everywhere. I think he's the better striker. I think he has a better variety of attacks. I think maybe Marvin Vettori is a little bit more durable, but Robert Whittaker hasn't necessarily shown that he's chinny or anything. The one time, in recent memory that he's been finished, because I think the last time he's been finished outside of Adesanya was probably maybe Wonder Boy back at welterweight, but that was so long ago, different weight class, doesn't really matter. Was when he was caught vastly out of position and got countered by Adesanya brutally. But, I just think Whittaker's just overall the more skilled fighter, and I don't see where Vettori can win. I just don't see where Vettori has an advantage. Vettori is very good. He's very well-rounded, but he's not particularly excellent in any one space. He's not some elite level wrestler. He's not some elite level jiu-jitsu guy. He's not some elite level striker. Where Robert Whittaker, I consider an elite level striker. I consider him a very good defensive and offensive wrestler. More defensive than anything. So I don't see Vettori taking him down. I think he has the better footwork. I think he has the better variety of attacks. They've both gone 5 rounds, so I think they both have similar stamina, and this is only a 3-round fight anyway, so it's neither one of these guys is going to gas. But I don't see Marvin Vettori getting finished, so I really think Marvin Vettori is going to press forward hard, looking for shots that are just never going to come. Robert Whittaker is going to use his head movement, get out of the way, chop the legs, oblique kicks, deep kicks to the body. And I think Vettori is going to be trying to slam in body kicks of his own and press forward. And I just think we are going to notice the skill gap between Whittaker and Vettori. Vettori, while he is one of the best guys in the middleweight division, it's weird because he's one of the worst fighters ever. Because he isn't great anywhere. He's just very well-rounded. There's no place where you can really point to Vettori's skill set and say he's weak there. He's some of the best durability I've ever seen, has great stamina, has decent striking. His striking isn't terrible, has good pressure, has good wrestling offensive and defensively, has decent jiu-jitsu. There's no real weakness there. But I just think Whittaker equals in all the spaces he needs to equal, and he's better in majority of them. There's nowhere that I see Vettori better than Robert Whittaker. The only advantage I could see Vettori having is maybe a slight size advantage. Maybe he can press Whittaker against the cage and hold him there, but I don't think that's super likely. I think Whittaker's going to be pumping the jab, picking him apart with combinations. And I don't think Vettori's going to get finished because he's so durable. He's never been stopped, I don't believe. So I'm going Robert Whittaker by decision. But again, check out that video. It's on the channel. Other fights on the card I'm really looking forward to. There's some decent fights on the card. Charles Jourdain, Nathaniel Wood. I'm still not even sure who I'm picking there. Jourdain looked great in that last fight against Burgos. So I may pick him. But Nathaniel Wood didn't look bad against Charles Rosa in his last fight. But I'm not sure on that one. But that's another fight to look out for on the card. Nasruddin Imavov versus Joaquin Buckley. That is a great fight that I'm really looking forward to. And that's on the prelims. Nasruddin Imavov, I believe, could be the future of the middleweight division, to be quite honest. Coming off KO win over Edmund Shabazian. Before that, Ian Heinisch. A loss to Phil Halls, which is just crazy. These other wins aren't great, but Nasruddin has looked like he's ever improving. Joaquin Buckley, I mean, his last win against Albert Duraev was really good. Won his last fight, basically doctor stoppage from beating him up so bad. Before that, a split decision win over Abdul Razak Al Hassan. His last loss was to Alessio Di Chirico, which is crazy. He got head kicked into the Shadow Realm, which was so brutal. And I think didn't Joaquin Buckley, how long ago was that? Let's see. You know what I'm not looking forward to this weekend? I'm not looking forward to seeing the Impa Kasangane highlight, the Joaquin Buckley Impa Kasangane highlight. But I don't know who I'm picking. I don't know who I'm picking in this one. And Alessio Di Chirico is in the feature fight, I believe. Yes, he is. Alessio Di Chirico versus Roman Kopylov, which I don't know who I'm picking in that one either. I have no idea. I think that one's a toss-up as well. I'll have to look more into that before I do my Tapology predictions, to be quite honest. Oh, yeah, I remember. Di Chirico KO'd Buckley with a head kick, and then in his next fight against Abdul Razak Al Hassan got head kick KO'd in a similar fashion. So it was back-to-back. It was weird, but he hasn't fought in a year. Roman Kopylov lost his last fight against Albert Duraev and then Carl Robertson. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak, and he's been out for 9 months, and he's only fought once in the last 3 years. I'll probably go to Chirico, but I'm not like super confident in that one. But I don't know. I'll have to make up my mind before we get to till we get to Saturday so I can make my Tapology picks. But Joaquin Buckley has been getting better. I actually liked his performance a long time ago against Kevin Holland. Let's see how long ago that was. Even though he lost and he got finished, I thought he looked really good in that fight because he came in on short notice. I believe that was his first fight in the UFC. Yes, it was. He got finished by Kevin Holland, but he looked good in that fight. That was a nasty right hand from Kevin Holland. So, and he survived all the way to the 3rd round. That was only August 2020. He's been very active. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is his 7th fight since then. Super active from Joaquin Buckley. So there you go. We went through UFC Paris. We went through my top 2 predictions. We went through other fights to make sure you watch on the card. And even Nasrat Haqparast, John McDessie should be fun, but I don't really care too much about it outside of it being entertaining. I think the hidden gem on the card is Nasruddin Imavov versus Joaquin Buckley, which I'll be paying close attention to. Because I think Nasruddin could be the future of the division, and I think Buckley could eventually make himself, push himself towards the top of the weight class as well. But it's hard to say. Okay, we'll move on to some questions for a little bit, and then I'll get back to talking about different topics. So, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying. Sorry if I missed anything. Makhachev can't win. He didn't deserve a title shot. Yes, he did. You're dumb. What's up, Keep Out? Waiting for the start of the show. Already smashed the like button. Appreciate you. What's up, French Fries? What's up, Niles Rodriguez? Thank you, French Fries, for saying that I was going to be late. Appreciate it. Shut up, Fight Life. What's up, Dabrowski? It's all good. Who do you think has a better chance of winning, Tai or Nate? Definitely Tai. And we're going to talk about, can Nate Diaz win at UFC 279? That's going to be a topic for later. Let's get it. What's up, Brandon? Nate Diaz way to victory is just surviving the early onslaught, then putting it on boards in the late rounds. I can see him subbing or KO boards early. Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. Only chance Tai has is if he can get Gane into the clinch and try to land some elbows or something. He's got to land big shots. Tai's got a puncher's chance, and that's about it. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, don't forget to like the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the stream. Another thing is, to note, Tai has never went 5 rounds. Yes, he may gas out. Tai's leg kicks also would be a way to victory. Maybe he has some heavy leg kicks, but then Gane won't be there. Yeah, I actually mentioned that in my full breakdown, that I think a strategy for him would not be super explosive early and just try to wear on the legs of Ciryl Gane by chopping them and limit the movement later in the fight. Yeah, I think it's a big mismatch as well. The second it was announced, I said, ugh. What's up, Sinister? I hope you have fun. That's awesome. You're going to meet Mike Tyson. Hey, Joey, great takes as usual. What's going on? 279 C. Chimaev, not in Vegas. What do you mean? 279 is not till next Saturday. So we're still a ways away. If anyone can upset KO Gane, it's Tai. I guess so. I went with Gane third round TKO as well. If there's one good thing the UFC got out of Ben Askren and DJ trade, Ben's knockout loss to Masvidal did propel him to stardom that led to the BMF title and all that. Yeah, but is that a benefit for the fans, or is that just a benefit monetarily wise for the UFC? We're going to talk about that later in the show too. What's up? What's going on? I think Whittaker has great recovery, but his chin isn't the best. He gets hurt in many fights he's in. Did he get hurt in a Cannonier fight? I can't remember. I'm trying to remember. He didn't get hurt in a Till fight. I don't remember. Let me know. Would you be surprised if Shavkat becomes one of the best fighters in UFC? No, I would not. I've been on the Shavkat train for quite a while. Did you see Strickland versus Cannoniers off? Yes, I did. We're going to talk about that as well. When does one cross from prodigy to contender? I guess when they slip on the Venom gear. I guess so. When they slip off the Dana White's Contender Series gear and slip on the Venom gear. Who you got in the Mustafayev versus Malarkey matchup? Also, can you see St. Denis going? I don't know what the rest of the question is. Oh, St. Denis on the Paris card. How do I see it going? How far can you see St. Denis going? Okay. Who do I have in the Mustafayev versus Malarkey? Malarkey's just so tough. But I don't know. Hasn't Mustafayev been out forever? Because I lean Mustafayev, but I don't know. I feel like he's been out forever. I have to look into it more, but I'll probably go Malarkey. But I got to look into that fight more. Ask me again. How far can I see St. Denis going? Not that far, honestly. I don't think he's all that great. He's only 26 years old, though, so he can always get better. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC. This is his 3rd fight coming up against Gabriel Miranda. Does he beat Gabriel Miranda? Probably. I would say probably. This is Gabriel Miranda's first fight in the UFC. Doesn't really have any notable names on his resume. Let's see who he's fought. Yeah, has no good wins, basically, but he's still young as well. Well, he's actually 32. Never mind, he's not young. But hasn't so St. Denis has only been out 2 months. I thought he was out for a while. Lost 9 months ago. So he only has 2 fights in the UFC. I think it's tough to say. I think it's too early to tell, but I don't see him going particularly far, especially, at 155 pounds where it's stacked badly. So it's stacked really, really hard with contenders. Joaquin Buckley's a killer fight. He's too good. The odds pass him up. We'll see. What's up? How much of a learning curve is Photoshop? Massive. It's like learning Chinese. Did Chirico was salty about reporters only interviewing the winner? Let me know the last time he won. Dude's taking L's, though. He beat Joaquin Buckley 2 fights ago, I think it was. If Yuri put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle and faced Gane, who wins? Probably Gane. I think Gane would still be way too big. Do you think the UFC would allow Chris Curtis to step in and face Jarrett? No. And I don't think he would want to take that on short notice. I think he's trying to stay away from short notice fights. Now that he's once you jump into that top 15, there's some short, and I don't know this for sure, but there's some fights that you have to take for the opportunity's sake. And he capitalized on those. But now you get to a point in your career where, unless it really makes a lot of sense, it's not worth stepping in on short notice, especially against a killer like Jared Cannonier. I wouldn't recommend it. I like Buckley, but the height difference is crazy in the next fight, sure enough. Did you hear rumors about Stephen Thompson versus Michelle Pajeda? Yeah, Wonderboy called him out. That's where the rumors are coming from. I'd love to see a Buckley versus Curtis fight. Also, apparently they aren't looking for a replacement for Cannonier, which means Alexa Grasso will be headlining. I hope they find a new main event, please. Will we see a future of UFC fighters retire early around 34, 35 or fight until their early 40s? I think it'll vary, but I think most will be done somewhere around like 38. People forget Tai is Samoan, granite chin. I don't see Gane finishing him. Yeah, well, did you see JDS finishing him? Where does Curtis Blades play out in all this? He probably fights the winner of Saturday's main event for the next title shot. I would have booked Tai versus Blades and Gane versus Aspinall. I probably would have booked Blades versus Gane and Tai versus Aspinall. But either way, I think Tai loses all those fights, to be honest. If Tai loses, who would you like to see? Would you like to see him fight Aspinall in his comeback? Yes. After seeing the mixed rules fight between DJ and Rodtang, do you think it's interesting? No, I don't want him to mix it up. I don't like the change. Yeah, by a jab in the third. I have an opinion. Let me know if you agree with me. Jared Cannonier is extremely overrated. I think he's good, but I think people act like he's better than he is. Ciryl is plus 7.5 to beat by submission. I would take that, dude. If I was a betting man, I would take it. He definitely got hurt in the Till fight. He got dropped with a vicious elbow. Did he? I did not remember that. That's why I was asking. Anyone else feel like Usman's run is probably over? I don't think it is. I think he's going to get his belt back against Leon. Usman's coming back better than ever, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he got clipped with a head kick. He was dominating the fight. Unless his chin is just turned to dust now, I think he easily wins the trilogy fight. And he wins it more dominantly than he just lost, than the majority of the fight in his loss, if that makes sense. Do you like Michael Johnson versus Mark Diaz? Who do you have? Mark, I think you pronounce it Jacasey. I would take him. I think he'd out-wrestle Michael Johnson. What do you call those symbols, pictures that only members can get? Emojis. Honestly, if anyone who can beat Gane in heavyweight division with just striking, I could see Aspinall probably pulling it off. Outside of that, maybe Stipe, but it's tough. Alex Perez versus Amir Albazi. Who wins? Absolutely love that matchmaking. I feel like it's recency bias, but I'll probably take Amir Albazi by submission. Alex Perez seems to love to get submitted, so I'll take Amir Albazi by submission. Jump up the ranks, huh? What a crazy matchup. And Jesus Dariush will be champ Christmas 2023. I don't think so, but best of luck. Maybe I just think the knockout and loss of momentum at this stage could be disastrous. Yeah, very, very true. Could you have made an argument? No. I'm doing good, Prison Mike. How are you doing? And in hindsight, Askren DJ trade looks bad, but at the time, Askren was considered the best outside the UFC, so it made sense in 2018. Most people were hyped for Askren to fight in the UFC. I don't know, man. Ben Askren was already retired at that point when they traded for him, so I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. But we're going to talk about that later in the stream. Could Chris Curtis do damage at 170 for sure? And he always has that option to go down there. Who would win an Ortega versus Mitchell fight? I'd take Ortega, but I'd love to see that matchup. Who do you think should replace Strickland? Dana White said there's already not going to be a replacement. Who wins, Stipe or Gane? My mind says Stipe, but at the same time, Stipe's old and inactive, and he's been brutally KO'd in his last fight, so maybe Gane. I don't know. I'm very confident that Tai beats Blades. I don't know how you could be confident. Fingers crossed that Wonderboy Michelle Pajeda happens. As a Wonderboy fan, I heavily loathe the Shavkat matchup. Sorry I'm late. I was late too, so no big deal. What's up, John Rod? What's going on? Thoughts on Till getting a DUI, not injured enough to not drink and drive? I don't care about the injury. I don't care about all that in relation, but I think you're a piece of shit if you're drinking and driving, to be honest. Like, I know there might be someone who's probably watching right now who has a DUI. I think you're a piece of shit if you drink and drive. You could take away someone else's life. So I think Darren Till's a piece of shit if that's the case. I seen some rumors of that. I didn't know if it was confirmed or not. But if you're out there drinking and driving, you are a piece of shit. Who would you like to see Jack Della Maddalena fight next? Same for Jake Matthews. Match them up with each other. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing Jack Della Maddalena versus there was a fight that I had him booked for. Let me see. That I wanted to see add to 279. Let me see what it was. I can't remember. I made a side-by-side of it. That's how badly I wanted to see it. But I don't remember if I actually put it in the video or not. Because I had too many matchups to help save UFC 279. It was right around here. Who was it? UFC 279 disaster. Oh, Jack Della Maddalena, Brian Barberena is the fight that I want to see. All this fantasy booking is great, but I think sometimes we forget that not only do you have to get guys to accept the fight, but you also have to deal with their availability. Very true. I don't know what this means. Babe, wake up. MMA Joey's doing a live stream. She's watching right now. Also, Cheeto Sandhagen. I love that matchup. I'd probably take Sandhagen. Honestly. I know you hate change, but do you think upping the limit of women's 145 division to 85? No. There's no women to fight at 145. What makes you think we're going to get higher weight class women? That's actually one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard. No offense. It's almost here. We're what, 10 days away, 9 days away? How would have Moreno versus DJ played out and Moreno versus Cejudo? Moreno would have probably got out grappled by Cejudo. I think DJ beats Moreno. I think DJ probably beats the whole flyweight division, honestly. I didn't think Cejudo even beat DJ. Charles versus Islam. Who do you have winning? Charles Oliveira. How well does Moreno do at 135? Not well at all. He's too small for the weight class. Bantamweight is just stacked from top to bottom with amazing fighters. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't even think, I don't think Figgy does well. I don't think a lot of these guys do well. Do you like Allen versus Yair and who wins? I love it. I'd probably pick Yair. Allen would have to grapple him. It's a shame we could never see DJ against guys like, it's annoying. Figgy, Moreno, Askarov would have been great. It's disgusting. They should book Costa versus Cannonier as a replacement fight. Costa has a broken hand. Who do you got in Prime BJ versus Prime Tony? Prime Tony for sure. Facts. What happened to Darren Till? No idea. Jack versus Chaos. I want to see Jack versus Brian Barberena, but that's a good matchup as well. How does Volk Chandler go? That'd be very interesting. Chandler probably gasses and gets finished in the later rounds. Imagine if UFC brings DJ back against Cejudo in a trilogy return for both of them. I'd love it. But it's not going to happen. I think DJ's coach is like part owner of ONE Championship. Also, how would Volk versus Khabib go? Khabib would ragdoll him. He'd be too small for Khabib. Did you see Dana White's Contender Series? Sergrius Dumas is a killer. Nope, I did not. I swore off most of Contender Series. It just, the first week was just god awful, and it put me off on Contender Series. Ilya Topuria versus Bryce Mitchell. I love that matchup. Make it. Book it. 5 rounds, Yair versus Sandhagen. Who wins? Probably Yair because he's bigger, but I don't know. Honest opinion on Brian Battle. I think he's good, but I don't see him going particularly far. But he's got a decent, well-rounded skill set. Hide your girl from Venom, Joey. Okay, I will do. Thoughts on Whittaker going up to 205? Do you see him do? No, Whittaker's going to get destroyed at 205. He's going to be too small. Nate will shock the world, I promise you. My name's not Josh, but you can promise me all you want. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. Weight cut tips, just put on Venom gear and then go into sauna and you'll be good. How does Brian Battle versus Ian Gary go? I love that matchup, actually. Brian Battle would probably beat him up, probably take him down. I don't know. I love that matchup. I wish the UFC would book that. How do you see Edgar versus Aldo going right now? I think Aldo beats Edgar pretty badly. He's already beat him before when he was closer to his prime, so I don't see that happening. Hold on, I just seen this down here. I already know it. TJ Dillashaw versus Joe Soto. Boom. There you go. Just so you didn't think I Googled it. I saw that, and I immediately knew what the event was, so boom, I jump in there. What's up, Panthers? Do you think – I'm not even checking, so let me know. Do we know what's in Costa's Secret Juice? It's probably just like something regular. Some regular drink. Kevin Holland versus D-Rod. What about it? Who am I predicting to win? I don't know. I think that could go either way, but I'll probably say Kevin Holland. Did you hear Danny Sabatello during Arrow interview say that Bellator's 135 beats the UFC's? That's a stretch. Yeah, that's a big stretch. Danny Sabatello needs to just – he's one of the most annoying fighters ever, honestly. If Askren wouldn't have been in the UFC, Masvidal wouldn't be selling popcorn at this point. Probably true. Duplessis versus Darren Till, who do you got? Darren Till, unless he's fallen off a cliff. Max Holloway next fight. I don't know. UFC's not going to want him knocking off contenders, that's for sure. And, you know, if they don't want him knocking off contenders, then what do they do? Think Max goes up a weight class? Probably not. Can you fact check me and let me know if I got this right? Was it TJ Dillashaw versus Joe Soto? I'm pretty sure it was. And I'm pretty sure it was in August of 2013. Let's see. Let's see if I can guess a date. I'm going to guess a date. I'm going to say August 28th, 2013. Co-main event was Tony Ferguson versus Danny Castillo. Boom. And there was injuries on the card. It was originally supposed to be TJ versus Burrell. Let me know if I got that right. Somebody let me know if I got that right for sure. Who do you think will be at the press conference? Nate, Khamzat, Tony, and Lee, I guess. Who do you honestly see Holloway losing to in the featherweight division? I think he beats most guys. That's a sad thing. But the UFC doesn't want to have a guy that's not fighting for a title kill off contenders. So, next for Paddy Pimblett, Jim Miller, maybe. You could make an argument Robert maybe too small for 185. I don't think so. You think to look at DC is too small for heavyweight too, but you never know. That is true. Whittaker's biggest problem at 205, in my opinion, would be his chin. He tends to get – I think it'd be the size disadvantage. It would have a massive size disadvantage. Do you think they might make Dominic Cruz versus Jose Aldo at 283? I'll say yes, but it all depends on how Dominic Cruz's nose heals up. Costa is a troll for sure. Just made my bet for this weekend. Taha, Bennett, Buckley, Figlak, Abus, Wood, Nasrat, Kopilov, and Whittaker. That doesn't sound too bad. UFC 224. What was UFC 224? That's a tough one. That was in May. I don't know. It's not coming right to my mind. It was in May because I remember what 225 was. I'm going to say it was Cyborg versus somebody, but I don't remember who. It was Cyborg defending her featherweight title against someone, but I can't remember what it was. Because UFC 223 was Habib Al Quinta, I believe, in April. Yeah. Yep. 224, can't remember. It had to be Cyborg versus somebody. Or maybe it was like Geraint Durandamy versus Holly Holm. Nobody even told me about 277. Was I right about 277? I'm not even seeing anything. I'm not even seeing anything. Let me look it up. Now I got to look up 277 and see if I got it right. Yep. Was it 277? That was 177. I'm sorry. I'm dumb. I was like, 277 just happened. It was TJ Dillashaw, Joe Soto. Let's see what 224 was. It was Nunes, Raquel Pennington. I knew it had to be a terrible main event because there's no way I could remember it. Maybe Till versus Shabazian. I think that makes a lot of sense. Doesn't Shabazian have a fight coming up though? I'm concerned about Darren, one of my favorite fighters. Yeah, I mean, he says he wants to fight twice before the end of the year. Throw him in there with Jared Cannonier is my thought. Till doing everything except fighting. Would you interested in a Holloway TKZ fight? If I hated TKZ, if I had a fetish about seeing TKZ get beat up, what are your sources telling you about John Jones's return? I already made a video about this, and I have a feeling, that this is going to end up going to be what ends up happening. I think we won't get John Jones till next year, and it'll be against Francis Ngannou. Danny Sabatillo comes off as a wannabe Kobe. Even Rafael told him that. It's just corny. Whatever it is corny. Who's the best fighter you think Patty can beat? Maybe Jim Miller, but I don't even see him beating Jim Miller. I think Jalen Turner beats Michael Chandler. Do you agree? Probably TKOs him, to be quite honest. So, yes, probably. I remember average 20, 25 people stream. Now you're always getting 67. Yeah, it's usually between, I would say, 60 and 100, somewhere around there. We've gotten a couple live chats with 100 people in the stream. So, yeah, channel's growing for sure. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers. If you guys have not liked the stream yet, run up the likes on the stream right this very second. Like the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. We got 70 people in here. We got 30 likes on the stream. So if you like it, YouTube's algorithm will push it out to more people. So I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would like it. It takes 1 second. What do you think of Charles is more famous than Borjachina, and Borjachina speaks English and Charles speaks absolutely no English? I don't think talking really matters in MMA that much. Do you like the idea of Rafael Dos Anjos versus Jalen Turner matchup? No, I do not. I don't like that idea at all. Dos Anjos killing off Jalen Turner potentially. I don't need it. I got 2,000 pounds on Gane and Whittaker to win. Easy money. Fair enough. I want to see Max Holloway fight Justin Gaethje. You want to see Max Holloway get the break speed off of him. If Whittaker beats Marvin, who do you put him up against next? I say Paulo or winner of Brunson Hermanson. If Whittaker beats Marvin, who do you put him up against next? I wouldn't mind seeing him against Paulo, but Whittaker's not fighting for a title as long as Izzy's champ, so it all depends. I didn't watch back then, so I have no idea. How long do you think Gane Tai fight lasts? I say about 3 or 4 rounds, and then it gets finished. I thought Brunson said this was his last fight. I don't know. UFC 211? 211. I feel like that's a garbage main event too, because that one doesn't jump off the page to me. That's got to be another women's title fight main event. I can't remember. The only other one I can think of is maybe Woodley Wonderboy. I don't remember 211. I'm looking it up now. It's got to be like Cyborg or someone. Oh, it was Stipe Jr. Dos Santos. I forgot this event even happened. I forgot Stipe and Jr. even fought each other in the main event. Because that wasn't for a title, was it? Right? Was that a title fight? Yes, it was for Stipe's belt. Stipe was champion then. I forgot that. That wasn't a bad card either. Alvarez Poirier was on the prelims. That one completely shook my mind. Close, but it was Nunes Pena. Probably won't happen next, but RDA Gaethje could be super fun. For sure. Yep. As much as I love UFC 280, I would have preferred to see some of those fights on 279. I don't know, man. I just like UFC 280. I hate 279, so it is what it is. How would Kelvin versus Leon Edwards go? Kelvin would beat Leon Edwards probably. Probably out-grapple him. But it'd be tough because I think the weight cut is tough on Gastelum. Worst ref stoppage that comes to mind, it was CB Dalloway versus some Russian guy whose name I can't ever remember. So go look it up. Any favorite MMA signature move celebrations? I love the Arlovsky when he calls out his name. I don't even know which one you're talking about. I used to love before a fight when JDS walked to the center and pointed at the center. Outside of that, celebrations, I can't think of any. Would you like to say TKZ versus Edgar double retirement fight at 145? Sure, book it. Halfway to what I predicted before the end of the year. We're going to get 10K before the end of the year, hopefully. Would you rather watch Colby versus Khamzat or Gaethje versus Fiziev? Colby versus Khamzat, I think. But I love both those matchups. Imagine Khamzat is 170 champ and Islam's 155 champ, then Islam moves up to 170. That'd be a very compelling matchup. How would Hooker do versus Turner? He'd probably get TKO'd by Turner, to be quite honest. I think he'd probably get TKO'd by Turner. If Holland beats D-Rod, then it's time for ranked fighter next. Yeah, probably. I just don't see Kevin Holland going far at 170 pounds. You should do a matchmaking video for I don't know what I'm doing, my friend. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone 5K. I really feel like Frankie Edgar, but thank you for the suggestion. I feel like Frankie Edgar versus Dominic Cruz should happen next. It's a perfect Legends fight. Yeah, but at the same time, Frankie probably wants to fight sooner rather than later, and Dominic Cruz just broke his nose. What do you film with? Is it a camera or webcam? It's a camera. It's Sony A6400. That's why I'm able to do 4K videos. So, yeah, I would never record with a webcam. Webcam gives you terrible quality, so I could never do that. The stream doesn't look as good as videos just because it's a stream. It's just the nature of streams. But go look at some of my 4K content. It's incredible. I still wouldn't mind seeing Wonderboy versus Holland. Yeah, that's a good matchup as well. Maybe if they book it, or maybe if Holland beats D-Rod, they book it, is what I was trying to say there. This is a hard one. Which fight headline UFC 278? That's actually pretty easy, I believe. That is Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson versus Chris Carriasu. Boom. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier was on the card. Featured fight. Co-main event. Cowboy Cerrone and Eddie Alvarez's UFC debut. For 178, not 278. I think you meant 178, not 278. So you said 278, which is an easy answer because it just happened. But I'm assuming you meant 178, and I just gave you the answer for 178. Who else wants to see Izzy get knocked out? I'm sure there's a lot of people want to see him get knocked out. If you're the ref, who do you give the win to? And then Merab clearly won. I mean, the fight was over. I don't see how they could stop the fight. Merab was getting up, and the doctor had him lay back down. It was the dumbest decision ever. Yeah, that whole you have to speak English to make money is stupid. It's like 280 purposes to try and take the bad taste out of your mouth after 279. Sure, it did. No, I did not watch that. UFC 231. What was 231? Was that Max Holloway, Brian Ortega? I think it was Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, but I'm not 100% certain on that. Thoughts on Francisco Figueiredo being released? I think it makes sense. I'm tired of guys getting hyped just because they're related or trained with somebody. Does Holland lose to Chiesa? Yes, he does. Khamzat versus Islam would be sanctified murder. 3-time Sambo world champion. Couldn't move Khamzat in the stand-up. It ain't even close. Charles versus Khamzat is way better. Agreed. Realistically, do you see Frankie fighting before the end of the year? Yes. What was 224 main event? Didn't I say I knew 224 or no? Isn't that the one we already talked about? Or no? Is that the one we talked about already? Wasn't that Pena versus or Nunes versus Raquel Pennington? I already Googled that one. So that one we already talked about earlier. When you hit 10K, we will eat Chick-fil-A and eat Venom pajamas. Sounds right to me. I meant 278. Oh, well, that's a difficult one. If they don't want Holloway killing off contenders, maybe someone like TKZ or Barboza if they win. Yeah, I don't know. I think Holland would outbox Chiesa. Yeah, but Chiesa would out-wrestle Holland. You forgot to mention Romero Stuhlgate from 178 against Tim Kennedy. We were actually talking about that in the members Discord recently, which is hilarious. UFC 218. Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis, maybe? I'm Googling that one. I think it was Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis. It was Max Holloway, Jose Aldo. Damn, I'm messing them all up. UFC 201. Oh, that one actually sticks in my mind for a bad reason. Because one of my favorite fighters got brutally KO'd and lost his title at 201. Wasn't that Robbie Lawler versus Tyron Woodley? I'm not even Googling it. I'm pretty sure that was right. Jokes aside, here's an actual hard one. What were all 3 title fights at 245? That's easy. Piotr Jan, Jose Aldo, Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Usman, Jorge Masvidal. Anderson Silva had every endorsement known to man, didn't go anywhere without a translator. Exactly. 134. Was that Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami? I want to say it was Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami. I don't have a better guess. The only other one I can think of before I Google it would be maybe Carwin JDS, but I think it was Yushin Okami, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami. I got that one right. Thoughts on the Kane situation? Sad, disturbing. At the end of the day, if he was going to take justice into his own hands, he should have been more careful. So I hope he doesn't spend the rest of his life behind bars. I hope that the person who wronged him does. But at the end of the day, he could have took an innocent person's life away with his negligence. So I'm sympathetic to him. Don't get me wrong, because I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, blah, 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 this and that, Joe. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm very sympathetic to him. But at the end of the day, you could have took away someone else's kid or, someone's parent. You can't just shoot recklessly on the side of the highway. It's just not the way the world works. If Sugar gets brutally KO'd, would you like to see him fight Cody No Love if Cody wins his next fight? Probably not. I don't want to see Cody Garbrandt get a couple fights back under his belt. Prime Anderson versus Whittaker. Who wins? Anderson. Does the grappling even out in the Brady Bilal? Probably. I'm not 100% sure, though. UFC 253. What was 253? That was a September card. Because I remember what 254 was. I'm having a hard time with 253. There's a fight card in September of 2020, I believe. What was 253? What was in 253? Was that Adesanya versus Costa? I think it might have been Adesanya versus Costa, but I'm not sure. Let's look it up. 253. It was Adesanya versus Costa. Got that one. There, boom. Who do you think would have won Habib Ferguson? Habib would have ragdolled and beat the living crap out of Tony Ferguson. Wrong card. That was 251. Oh, 245. 251 was in the summer. 245 was that December card. I didn't think about it long enough. But I still think 2 of those title fights were correct. Usman versus Colby. Holloway versus Volk 1. And the third fight on the card, I can't remember. I can't remember who it was. It had to be like a Nunes fight or something. I can't remember. Who can beat Nikita Krylov? A lot of the top guys. UFC 185. That's actually really easy. Pettis versus RDA. Do you think you could beat Ngannou in a street fight as long as you're actively wearing your Venom gear? Of course. If you're wearing your Venom gear, you're basically invincible. Yes, he definitely shit himself during the Brunson fight. Ronnie Yaya ending Cody's UFC career. I hope not. What do you think of my UFC 278 prediction? Islam, round 5, ground and pound TKO. TJ by 50-45. Piotr Jan, 20. I think that's a terrible bet. 245 was Usman Colby, Nunes, Durain, Demandamine, Max Volk. Oh, so it was Nunes, Durain. Were they the co-main over Max Volk? That's crazy. It sucks all the veterans are booked, so Frankie has nobody to fight. Very true. Michael Chiesa can't beat Holland wrestling or no wrestling. Holloway keeps getting better. We'll see. Who do you think wins, Prime Jones or Yuri? Prime Jones. UFC 119. This was around the time I became a fan, and I do not remember. I can't remember. I wasn't yet religiously buying the pay-per-view cards. So I don't know. Was it a... I can't even guess. I think 116 was Chuck Liddell, Rich Franklin. Don't remember what 117 or 118 was. I think 118 might have been BJ Penn Fitch. I'm going to Google 118 real quick. Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn. I have no idea what 119 was. I can't remember. Frank Mir, Mirko Crocodile. I actually ordered this pay-per-view. That's funny. I didn't think I ordered this one, but now I remember I ordered this one. Frank Mir KO'd him brutally. So I actually forgot. Where was I at? Where was I at? Where was I at? If Cody beats Ronnie, will he be ranked or no? I hope he won't be ranked, but there's a chance he will be. He's a really solid fighter, so I could see him, just with his name value and his skill set, I could see him being ranked again, even though he shouldn't. You shouldn't get ranked with the winner of Ronnie Yaya. If Cruz isn't available for Edgar, do you think Edgar would take Cody? I feel like it's a pretty good name to edit out. Yeah, but Cody's got a fight coming up in October. I doubt he's going to fight again in November. No, that's not even close to being true. This was Ronda versus Sarah McMahon, co-main event, DC versus Patrick Cummings. Or it might have been Cyborg in the main event. I can't remember. Cyborg versus Yana Kutakaya. Yep. I should have guessed that. I think I guessed that the other day, actually, and now I forgot that quick. I tried too quick on that one. 237. 237. 237. 237. I'm drawing a blank on 237. I don't know. I'm totally drawing a blank on 237. I know what 236 was, but what was 237? I can't even guess. I know what 238 was. 238 was Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes, I believe. 236 was... What was 236? Was that Adesanya versus Silva? What was 237? For the life of me, I cannot remember. I can't even hazard a guess on that one for some reason. That one's like blocked out in my mind. UFC 237 had to be a terrible card. We talked about this the other day too, so I should have known this one anyway. So even if I got that one right, it wouldn't have been fair because we talked about 237. It was Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade. People always say that it will be John's first Stipe, but I feel UFC will forget about Stipe. He's a firefighter these days. Yep. 249. That's easy. Gaethje versus Ferguson. The problem with letting Gane get out is you set a precedent. I hope he doesn't get crucified, though. I agree. UFC 207. 207. What was 207? Was that Cody TJ? I don't think it was. 207, 207, 208, and 209 all elude me. I have no idea. I want to say, before I Google, I want to say like Woodley versus Wonderboy, but I don't know. Amanda Nunes, Ronda Rousey, Dominic Cruz, Cody Garbrandt. I should have thought about that one. And 206 was Max Holloway versus Anthony Pettis. There we go. Now I know. What was 208? Was that Wonderboy Woodley? That was Home versus Drain Duranamine. See, that was a stretch of 3 garbage pay-per-views. No wonder I forgot them all. Colby versus Burns. I love it. I already kind of did that in the beginning, Iceman. I already kind of did it in the beginning. I'll probably do a stream on Friday where we'll do it. I got to get to some of the other topics I want to get to. I'm trying to catch up in the chat which I don't know if I'm ever going to catch up in the chat. So I'm probably going to jump over to a couple other topics. So what was 198? 199. 198, was that Werdum Stipe? That's my best guess. So I'm going to Google it. Werdum Stipe, I guess. It was Werdum Stipe. Yes, there we go. It was good. Who can beat Yuri in light heavyweight? A lot of guys. Jamal Hill, Magomed Ankalaev, Glover, Yan, Rockage. I'm not saying they will, but they can. What's up, Joey? What's up, Billy? What's going on, my friend? Wait, what? Yo shit himself in the Brunson fight. And he fought for 3 rounds after he shit himself, too. I'm never going to catch up in this chat. What was the main event of Fight Night where Corey kneed Edgar to hell? I don't remember at all. I don't remember that at all. I can't even hazard a guess. Okay. Let's talk about a couple other topics. So 1 hour and 1 minute timestamp. 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 minute. We're going to talk a little bit about UFC 279 and can Nate Diaz win? Because that's been a big topic lately. And I'll get back to questions a little bit before we go. I just can't catch up with all this right now. So if you guys have a good question, just ask me in a few minutes and I'm going to try to catch up. If you haven't already, like the stream. I do these live chats every single Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern usually. So I started a little bit late today, but if you guys care to join me next Wednesday as well. So let's talk about can Nate Diaz win? Because I keep seeing the MMA media in general say, well, what if Nate Diaz pulls it off? I keep seeing Ariel Helwani saying, if Nate Diaz pulls off the impossible, the UFC better cut him a $20 million check and ask him to fight for the title. And when I hear this shit, it actually really pisses me off. Because who in the world, in what world, even if Nate Diaz defeats Khamzat Chimaev, okay? And I love Nate Diaz. In what world would you think he deserved a title shot? Did he beat a top-ranked guy? Yes. We have a division full of killers at 170. And we're going to give Nate Diaz a title shot because of one win? Can Nate Diaz win? I see 2 paths to victory. And I'm going to break this down in my full breakdown and prediction video. There is 2 paths to victory for Nate Diaz. The first path to victory is the one that everyone's saying. Nate needs to wear him down, eat all his shots, let Khamzat get gassed, and then he can finish Khamzat in the later rounds. Khamzat does not have a cardio issue, guys. Okay? And I'm going to break this down in the prediction video, which will come out next Monday or Sunday. So 3 or 4 days from now, 5 days from now. Khamzat does not have a cardio issue. Just like I told you guys, Rafael Fiziev does not have a cardio issue. In the Burns fight, was Khamzat Chimaev tired? Yes, he was tired. But the reason he was tired was because of the volume and the pace that he was putting on Gilbert Burns. That's exactly why that he was tired. He is going to come out. He's not going to gas out in 1 round. He's not going to gas out in 2 rounds. And he is going to ragdoll the living shit out of Nate Diaz. Not only will Khamzat beat Nate Diaz up on the feet, he will slam him on his head, ground and pound him, and most likely finish him on the ground. Okay? Then on top of that, people say, oh, well, Nate has great jiu-jitsu. I could see Khamzat snatching up his neck. I may go Khamzat submission because he is going to be battering him on the ground. He's going to be much bigger, much stronger, and I just don't see him tiring out. I just don't see it happening because he's not going to meet any resistance. There's going to be no resistance from Nate. Nate's not finishing Khamzat. It's not happening. And I know there's people who will sit on the fence and say, well, Nate is super durable and maybe he can win. I'm not going to sit on the fence here, okay? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. And if by some miracle I am wrong, I will eat my words and I will eat them happily. Because I get tired of people sitting on the fence with every fight. Well, this can happen or that can happen. And then they say, and then after one of those, 7 scenarios that's laid out happen, they're like, I called it. No. Khamzat is going to beat the brakes off of Nate. He's going to beat him up badly on the feet. He's going to strop him on his head and beat him up badly on the ground. He's going to have his way with Nate Diaz. Khamzat Chimaev will beat Nate Diaz up everywhere. He will beat him up in the clinch. He will beat him up on the ground, and he will wreck him on the feet badly too. The only way, and if you told me you could see into the future with 100% certainty, and you told me that Nate Diaz won the fight, I think the most likely way that Nate Diaz wins this fight is Khamzat has a severe injury while kicking the living shit out of Nate Diaz. So maybe he's punching him. Next thing you know, his shoulder, goes out of socket, or he breaks a finger where it's like all crooked and the bone's sticking out, or he postures up on his toes like John Jones did against Chael Sonnen, and his toe pops out of socket and the bone's sticking out. The only way Nate wins is if Khamzat injures himself beating the shit out of Nate Diaz. That is the only path to victory I see for Nate. Now, is there a small percentage chance that Khamzat goes crazy in the first round looking for the finish, and somehow Nate survives, and somehow Herb Dean is looking at it like the CB Dalloway fight, against that Russian guy from years ago, and Herb's like, I'm going to let it go. I'm ready to see somebody die today. And then maybe Khamzat's gassed and Nate's able to put some hands on him. I think that's a less than 2% likelihood, because Khamzat does not have a cardio issue. And I think if Khamzat goes for the kill against Nate, and I think he will go for the kill early, and I think he will find the kill early, I think that Khamzat's going to destroy him. I don't think it's competitive. I hate the fight in general. I'm disgusted that we have to watch Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz fight on the same card but not fight each other. It really is quite disturbing. It really is, guys. But no, Nate Diaz cannot win. The MMA media that's saying what if, they're doing it because they want you to stay interested in the card. They make their money off of whether or not you're interested in a card. That's why they're always talking about popularity, and this is a big fight, and this is name value. And when you're Conor McGregor, you get to skip the line. And if Nate wins this fight, he gets a title shot and this and that. They want the most popular guys in the biggest fights that these fights that the UFC can make because they want the clicks. They want the views, okay? That's the truth. If the MMA media is being honest, which I guess some of them maybe have, I haven't seen a lot of it, they know this is a mismatch. They know that Nate Diaz is going to get ragdolled. Nate Diaz was getting out-grappled by Benson Henderson. What do you think is going to happen to him against Khamzat Chimaev? Khamzat may toss him up in there. Let me tell you this right now, too. Khamzat's going to play with him. Khamzat's going to play with Nate Diaz. He's going to talk shit. He might even carry him around the cage and slam him. And can overconfidence, because Khamzat knows this is an easy fight. That's why he's saying, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him, brother. I'm going to kill him, brother. Because he knows this is an easy matchup for him. He knows it. He knows Nate Diaz is an easy fight. And people are going to say, and what's going to happen after the fight? You guys ready for this? Mark my words. Mark my words right now. Dana White and the MMA media, immediately after Khamzat wrecks Nate and finishes him, Dana White and the MMA media are going to write articles. Dana White in the post-fight presser. Look at this kid. I know everyone was saying going into this fight that, Khamzat Chimaev was going to win this fight. Nate Diaz was a massive underdog. But when have you ever seen anyone do what he did to Nate Diaz? When have you ever seen anyone finish Nate Diaz in the fashion that he just finished him? That's what the media and Dana White are going to promote. They're going to say, when has Nate Diaz ever been finished like that? And the answer is very rare. But they are going to use Khamzat finishing Nate as a promotional tool. They're going to say, oh, yeah, well, he won and everyone expected him to win. But they didn't expect him to finish him because Nate's so durable, you know. Nate's durable as hell. And that's what Dana White's going to say. Yeah, that kid's tough. That kid's tough. And the kid went out there and he was just, you know, he was just ragdolling him and he just dominated him from start to finish. And who finishes the Diaz? Who finishes a Diaz brother like that? I mean, the kid finished the Diaz brother. That's what's going to happen. Mark my words. Post-fight presser. Who's ever finished Nate Diaz like that? Guaranteed Dana White says those exact words. And the MMA media will say, you know, I know we expected Khamzat to beat him, but in that fashion, we don't ever see anyone finish Nate like that. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And I don't see Nate winning outside of Khamzat getting a freak injury. I really don't. I really don't. It's not going to happen. The Tony Ferguson versus JingLiang, you know, because we'll talk about UFC 279 for a little bit. That fight kind of troubles me a little bit because it's a weird spot because, guys. I don't know. I'm still a believer. I'm still a somewhat believer in Tony Ferguson's skill set. But he's coming back so soon after being brutally KO'd by Michael Chandler. He doesn't have a lot of time to put on weight to go up to 170. JingLiang finds a way to clip guys' chins. And so I'm back and forth on that one. You know, I don't know what happens in that one, to be honest. I want to pick Tony Ferguson by decision, but something just tells me that he's going to get flatline KO by JingLiang. JingLiang is big. He's powerful. He's filthy. And he just finds a way to land on your chin. Look what he did to Muslim Salihov. Brutally KO'd him. Look what he did to Santiago Ponzinibbio. And I get it. Tony Ferguson has a good chin. But we don't know what he's going to be like after he just lost to Chandler and got his head punted out of the cage. We don't know what he's going to look like in a return. And in return so soon, he fought, the middle of May? Coming back 4 months later, guys? I don't know if that's conducive to his health. And also, this should have been 5 rounds. Why isn't Tony Ferguson's manager negotiating him a 5-round fight? Tony's biggest strength in MMA is his cardio. And we're not even going to give him a 5-round fight? What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here? So, I don't even know what to think about that fight, to be quite honest. I got to watch some recent fight footage because I've been a chronic defender of Tony Ferguson. And I think he could win the JingLiang fight up until he's not. I really think he could. Let's see what the people are picking on Tapology. Oh, no. Most people are picking by KO on Tapology for Lee. I could see Tony winning by decision is what I would see most likely for Tony. I could see that being a most likely scenario. But the JingLiang is just so big, so powerful, so strong. This card is not that great. This card is garbage. I mean, UFC 179 is just an absolute shit show. What a shit stain of a fight card. And anybody defending UFC 279, I don't understand why you're going to defend a multi-billion-dollar company. They're giving it as basically a rigged fight in the main event. I say that loosely. It's not actually a rigged fight, but we know pretty much what's going to happen in that fight. How can you be excited for it? I mean, I'd be so excited if it was Khamzat Colby and then the co-main was Nate versus Tony Ferguson. But instead, we got this garbage. I'm wondering if Nate Diaz pulls out of this fight. I almost hope he does. I almost hope he does. Okay. 1:15. We're an hour and 15 minutes into the stream. I'll go back to answering some questions, guys. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. I might miss some because there's been a bunch. So I'm just going to pick a random spot and start. I got Chimaev KO. Nate got too much. He got too much power. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if Chimaev destroys Nate inside one. Does he get a title shot next? Now that Colby and Jorge are not able to fight until at least New Year's since they court. What is this? This is a false narrative. Their court date is not stopping them from fighting. That's a false narrative that somebody made up. There's no evidence to support that. He can't fight because you got court. That's like saying you can't go to work because you got court in 2 months. No, that's a false narrative that somebody made up. They can 100% fight. Can Diaz beat Khamzat? Sure he can. He gave Gane 0% chance versus Ngannou, and then Ngannou came in with 3 different injuries in his knee. But is it likely to happen? I highly doubt it. Khamzat via TKO. I gave Gane 0% chance versus Ngannou, and Ngannou came in with 3 different injuries in the knee, but likely. Yeah, it's very unlikely. What's up? Just got done with some homework. What's good? What's up, Roman? What's going on, my friend? Thank you for being a member of the channel. I greatly appreciate you. If anybody else wants to become a member, you get a loyalty badge next to your name, custom emojis, including a Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz emoji. We have a Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz emoji. So if you want to become a member, the link is down in the description. You also get extra live streams and access to the members-only Discord. Look, boom, Nate Diaz and Khamzat Chimaev emoji for members only. Link is down in the description. Usman can recover and wait for the winner of Chimaev versus Leon. No, the trilogy has to be first. The trilogy has to be first 100%. What's up, Joe? I can't believe they cut the GOAT, Harry Hunsucker, the most killer be killed fighter ever. Yeah, I don't know why they cut Harry Hunsucker, one of the most elite heavyweight fighters I've ever seen. Or light heavyweight fighters now, I think, right? He went down to light heavyweight? I can't even remember. I think if Boers puts Nate out cold, you have to give him credit. Nobody's been TKO'd. He's only been TKO'd by Thompson. I don't give him that much credit. He's massively undersized. Yeah, people show how casual they are when they say Khamzat has bad cardio because he gassed last fight. They didn't realize the pacing in fights mean 99% of fighters would have gassed that pace. Same thing with Rafael Fiziev. People were saying Fiziev didn't have cardio because of the pace of the Bobby Green fight. Look what he did against RDA. Finished him in the 5th round. Nobody jump over Usman unless it's medical. People keep him out. Yeah, it's not going to keep him out for long. I've seen people saying Khamzat gas tank is trash because Burns exposed it, but anyone will get exactly. I've been saying that for everyone. Where was I at now? I lost my spot already. I don't know where I was at. Joey, what's the least likely outcome to happen at 279 pay-per-view main event? You'd be shocked to realize how much surprising sequences occurred during a pay-per-view main event. The most unlikely would be Diaz first round KO. Khamzat KO Nate in the first round. That fight ain't going more than 2 rounds. Yeah, if Khamzat doesn't TKO him early, I think it'll be a doctor stoppage. Honestly. Pay-per-view main events almost always have weird sequences. Yeah, but that's just luck of the draw. Would you rather watch Ian Gary versus DeLeach? Yes. Who would win, Prime Anderson Silva or Izzy? Prime Anderson Silva. Should Alexander Gustafsson retire? Yes. Have you had any more thoughts about Adesanya versus Pereira, Joey? What's your prediction now? I'm leaning Adesanya. I think Adesanya is just too good of a kickboxer. He's going to avoid the power. I mean, is Pereira really going to be able to find that kill shot? And I just think Adesanya is the more well-rounded striker. So Pereira is going to have to find that kill shot. But I'm curious if Pereira tries the point fight as well and forces Adesanya to try to be more aggressive and then end up making mistakes. Thoughts on Demir versus Arman as a potential fight? Also would love to see Gregor versus loser of Gamrot Benil. Yeah, Gregor's never fighting again. Gregor's hanging out with Colby in witness protection program. Colby can't fight. No one made it up, dude. That's not even remotely true. That's not remotely true, Marty Party, so go Google it. It's not remotely true. That's all rumors. There's not one source confirmed that Colby can't fight. And it's even coming out that Colby's currently looking for a fight as we speak. So Gane beat Ngannou by scoring system of, and no, he didn't. 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 3, 4, and 5 all went to Ngannou. I don't know how somebody gave Ngannou 4 rounds, but 1 and 2 were reasonably close, but I gave them both to Gane. 1 and 2 were reasonably close, but I gave them to Gane. 3, 4, and 5 all went to Ngannou. You can never convince me otherwise. Landing 2 strikes, getting a takedown, and then spending 3 minutes and 30 seconds on your back. And I know Francis Ngannou landed limited ground and pound, but he laid on his back for 3.5 minutes in the 5th round. You cannot give Ciryl Gane that 5th round. I don't care what anybody says. I will die on that hill. I will die on that hill. You're going to give Gane the 5th round because he landed 2 strikes on the feet and then got a takedown and went for a heel hook? No. He laid on his back for 3.5 minutes of the 5th round. You can't give it to him. If I become a member, can I get some personalized Venom gear? Yeah, you can. Go sign up. I'm kidding. Venom gear is way too expensive. Downright disrespectful. The UFC cut the undefeated bantam. Yeah. She's on a pay-per-view main card. Now she's getting cut. That's how garbage that main card was. I think Usman versus Chimaev is going to be big. I hope we get it, plus that Usman has been. But imagine this. I might even make a video on this. This is how much I'm looking forward to this. Imagine Khamzat beats Nate, fights Tony on the – or not fights Tony. Oh, my God, no. Please, I can't believe I even suggested that. Fights Colby on the same card that Usman fights Leon for the trilogy. Usman wins his belt back. Khamzat beats Colby. And then we get Usman versus Khamzat for the belt. Holy shit. RDA versus Bobby Green matchup. What about it? I think it's a fine matchup. I think it's a fine matchup. RDA wins. Unironically, I would have been interested in a Sam Alvey, Harry Hunsucker fight. They're not even in the same weight class. My dream matchup in MMA was Tony Holloway, but I doubt we will get it. Yeah, we're never getting that. I feel so bad for Hunsucker, man. Got out of abuse addiction household to chase his dream and make something of himself. Only go 0-3 in the UFC just reminds me how brutal the fight game is. Yeah, look what Makwan Amirkhani did to what's his name? I can't think of his name now. Makwan Amirkhani. Who did he just beat up? Look what he did to Mike Grundy. Mike Grundy fought in front of his terminally ill father, only to get finished in the 1st round in front of his terminally ill father. That's brutal. The fight game is brutal. Usman's mental versus Leon's takedown defense is a real breakdown for the next fight. You can't argue that more mental Sharp will win the fight. If Leon acts like he's did middle rounds, he loses. Yeah, I think Usman wins the trilogy. That'd be big. 708. Yeah, for real. No one is talking about Usman's mental. Hadn't he not mentioned 205? Yeah, who knows? Marab, the type of guy to stop contenders' winning streak and potential title eliminator, only moved down a weight class because he's friends with the champ. Yeah, well, I don't think I'll have to worry about that for that long because TJ about to snatch the belt off of, what's his name? No, poor Mike got cut. Yeah, the fight game's brutal. Ngannou won round 5, and the first sub attempt by Gane was actually Ngannou's using scissor sweep to reverse the position. People are too ashamed because they picked Gane to dominate. Yeah, it's disturbing. And it was, yeah, exactly. I noticed that too. It wasn't just strictly the heel hook. Ngannou was looking to reverse the position as well. It was a combination of factors. Should fighters bring their young kids to UFC events? Absolutely not. I talked about this in my UFC 278 dedicated main event post-fight breakdown. Bro, Alvey brought the whole family to his execute. Yeah, it's disturbing, bro. It really is disturbing. Why are you bringing your entire family? Why are you bringing your entire family to watch you get beat up? Anything can happen in the fight game. Anything can happen in the fight game. Anything. And you're bringing your family to watch that? So I don't get it, especially young children. If you bring your teenagers there, they can understand at least. But bringing your young kids there to watch you potentially get brutally KO'd and watch your corpse fall on the canvas. I mean, that's something that could ruin you for life. Could ruin you for life, and instead, they don't care. They just don't care. Okay, another thing I want to talk about while we're on here, because this is one that's actually really annoyed me over the years, is the Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson from the UFC ONE Championship for Ben Askren. People talk about this trade, quote unquote trade, all the time. And this, I don't know if this was really an actual trade, because ONE negotiated a new deal with Mighty Mouse, and the UFC negotiated a new deal with Ben Askren. So essentially, it was just an agreement to release both fighters, and then they could make up their own deals. So it wasn't like a trade per se. There is a lot of people that say, oh, the trade was great for the UFC because without Ben Askren, we never get the 5-second flying knee from Jorge Masvidal, which launched Jorge Masvidal into superstardom, which sold pay-per-views for the UFC. And while most of what they say in that narrative is true, I find that narrative to be highly annoying. Because for me, I don't know about you guys, I don't get a cut of the UFC's pay-per-view revenue. I don't. So for me, as a fan speaking, I want the best fighters in the world fighting all under one organization. And I know that's not always going to happen. But in the case of Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson, I think the fans lost with that trade. And there's people saying, oh, Mighty Mouse never sold and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Mighty Mouse is one of the greatest fighters of all time. But because he did not sell, we got to see him traded for an old-ass Ben Askren. I mean, how old was Ben Askren when he came in? Let's see what their ages were. So he's currently 38. He was retired, had a bunch of surgeries. He came into the UFC in 2019, so 3 years ago. So he's 35. We traded him for a 35-year-old Ben Askren. We traded Demetrious. Demetrious is getting up there too. I don't remember exactly how old Demetrious is. Let's see. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. How old is Demetrious? He's 36, so he was 33 at the time. He was in the prime of his career. Meanwhile, Askren was sitting on the sidelines, injured, and I think he had a hip replacement or his bad hips and this and that. And we traded one of the best fighters of all time to watch Ben Askren come in and lose 2 fights by finish. And he should have got finished by Robbie Lawler too. Herb Dean saved his life in the Robbie Lawler fight. I'm disgusted that he has a win over Robbie Lawler. I don't think the fight should have been stopped. Robbie's hand did fall in a weird way, but he immediately gives a thumbs up as soon as Herb touches it. That win should have been overturned. So we traded a prime Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson for a trash Ben Askren. And I understand that from the UFC's perspective, it was a win because you built Jorge Masvidal into a star out of it. But as a fan, I don't get a cut of the pay-per-views. I don't care if a pay-per-view is selling or not. For me, I care if I'm interested in the fights that are on the pay-per-view. And for me, you know, Henry Cejudo took the belt away from Demetrious via split decision at UFC 227. Guess what? I thought Mighty Mouse won that fight. So essentially, the UFC traded away a current UFC champion. And look at how good Demetrious has looked. Since that loss, he's only lost to Adriano Moraes. And that was by a knee KO by a guy that is massively oversized for the weight class. I mean, Demetrious and Adriano look 2 weight classes different. And guess what? Mighty Mouse went out there and avenged that loss. So for me, Mighty Mouse Johnson has not lost outside of the finish to Moraes, which he avenged since Dominic Cruz in 2011, where he was vastly undersized. Because so technically you won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 fights straight until he got KO'd by Adriano back in 2021. That's insanity. And we traded him for a bum-ass Ben Askren. I mean, I'm ashamed. Give me 1 second, guys. 1:30-ish. I would have much rather have Mighty Mouse in the UFC fighting at flyweight. I don't care if he sells or not. It's not my problem to have. The UFC is supposed to be where the best fight the best. Mighty Mouse Johnson is unequivocally the best, or one of the best, regardless if you want to say he would win or lose to this guy or that guy. He could easily beat Moreno. He could easily beat Figgy. I'm not saying 100% certainty he would. Those fights would matter. And I feel like not enough people gave enough opportunity for us to see the flyweight division evolve. And they just jumped to, oh, well, Mighty Mouse this, and Mighty Mouse is boring and has no personality, and blah, 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 blah. I would even venture to say the Ben Askren Mighty Mouse trade is one of the worst things that's ever happened to us as a fan. Because you know what? Jorge Masvidal became unequivocally one of the most annoying fighters in the world after that Ben Askren KO. He became so full of himself that he then goes on to get 50-45'd by Kamaru Usman. He fights Nate Diaz after that fight, but then he goes on to get 50-45 by Kamaru. Then he goes on to get slept by Kamaru. Then he goes on to lose to Colby pretty much by domination. And this guy still thinks he earns a title shot because he is so full of himself and thinks that he's such a massive star now. And to be honest, I think Ben Askren created a monster, because what happened was, for those of you who weren't paying super close attention, Ben Askren never shut his damn mouth. He ran his mouth constantly, and people paid attention to it, even though he was a straight-up cornball. And because of that, a lot of people cared about Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Ben Askren was calling out Darren Till, who was scheduled to fight Jorge Masvidal. A lot of people thought Darren Till would beat Jorge Masvidal. Well, guess what? Masvidal flatline KOs Darren Till. So Ben Askren, he's there in London. He just, he was calling out Darren Till all week, and then Darren Till loses. So, okay, well, looks like I'm fighting Masvidal. And he looked at Masvidal and said, you know what? Masvidal doesn't have great grappling, so I'm going to win this fight. He talked mad shit. Some of the worst striking I've ever seen in my entire life. I got better striking than Ben Askren. He goes out there. He immediately ducks down for a takedown and eats a flying knee and created a monster in Ben Askren. So it's just one of those things where I would have much rather seen Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson defend his title or run the trilogy back with Henry Cejudo. There's so many things that would have been much better than watching Ben Askren lose in the UFC. I mean, the striking exchanges in Ben Askren versus Damian Maia was some of the worst striking I've ever seen in my life. The only thing that comes to mind as far as worse striking than that would be Juliana Pena, who literally looked like, I don't know what her coaches are watching in the gym. Can you imagine? I can't imagine Ben Askren is hitting pads and people are going to say, his coach is going to say, yeah, man, you look good. You look great. You look great. I can't imagine that. some of the worst striking I've ever seen in my entire life. He looks like he trained striking with Juliana Pena. So, and instead, we get some elite level wrestler. That's fair enough assessment. Who doesn't really have great jiu-jitsu, doesn't have great cardio, has never fought tough competition. And the guy was just a total cornball. He elevated Masvidal into the monster, entitled, rocking around with the BMF title he is nowadays. And I think for us fans, from a monetary perspective, maybe the UFC made out well. But as a fan of the sport, I would have much rather seen an elite world-class fighter in Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson continue to fight in the flyweight division that was ever evolving at the time, rather than slow, old, injury-riddled, Juliana Pena-level striking Ben Askren come out and elevate Jorge Masvidal. So that's my thoughts on the trade. I think it was a terrible trade for the fans. Again, unless you get a cut of the UFC pay-per-view revenue, you shouldn't be defending the trade by saying, well, he turned Jorge Masvidal into a star. No, that's not how it works. I look at it from a fan perspective. I don't care what UFC sells as far as pay-per-views. Unless they're going out of business, that's the only time I would care. So it's just, I'm so tired of that narrative that, oh, UFC made out great because they turned Masvidal into a star. The UFC is going to continue to move on with or without Jorge Masvidal. They'll continue to move on with or without Conor McGregor. They'll continue to move on with or without Khabib. They'll continue to move on with or without John Jones or GSP or Anderson Silva. The list goes on and on and on. The UFC is bigger than any one fighter, okay? And we've learned that over the past 20 years even, especially for me personally over the last 10, 12 years. John Jones, one of the biggest stars, sat out for a ridiculous amount of time. Conor McGregor barely ever fights. He's only won one fight since 2016. GSP retired in 2013 and then only fought once since then. The UFC does not need these stars to continue. They will always find others. They will always build others, and they will continue to work at it. Some years might be a little bit down years as far as star power. But people acting like if the UFC doesn't have these Conor McGregor level stars, they're going to go out of business, are just disconnected from the sport and as a whole. So at the end of the day, Ben Askren elevating Jorge Masvidal, all it did was put a little extra cash in the UFC's pocket that they didn't need because they're already billionaires. Who cares? I mean, I guess, did Jorge Masvidal invent flying knees? I know Conor McGregor invented shoulder strikes, so maybe that's one thing you can take out of it, He invented flying knees. I don't know, guys. I'm going to move on to some questions. But let me know what you guys think. I'm curious what you guys think. If you were making the decision, what would you have done? Would you keep Mighty Mouse? If you could go back in time, you get to decide Mighty Mouse or Ben Askren. Who do you want in the UFC? Let me know what you guys think. Okay, let's move on to some questions. Let me see where I was at. Guys, if you haven't already liked the stream, do me a favor and like the stream. Like the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, we are 326 subscribers from 5,000. So if you would scroll down a little bit, subscribe to the channel. I want to get to 5,000 before the end of September. We have 1 month. We should hit that goal, but do me a favor, go subscribe right now. Be one of the first 5,000 subscribers. These spots are going fast, so you need to get in now. Where were we at? Yeah, that was highway robbery trading DJ for overrated bum Askren, who won on that trade big time. I don't know what. Won big time on that trade. Yeah, it's disgraceful. Not everyone wants Conor money, but making more than 12 guarantee would be great. Agreed. DJ beat Rod Tang. No one does that. Yeah, but that was mixed martial arts, mixed rules, you know. I wouldn't call Askren a bomb a good fighter, but clearly not UFC caliber. I don't even know if I would call him not UFC caliber. He's just not that great. I just find it crazy that Ben Askren neglected stand-up so much. I don't know if he neglected it. Some people just aren't built for striking, obviously. And he's one of them, you know. Ben was good, but by the time he got to the UFC, he had already bad hips and dumbass trade in retrospect. Agreed. Unless you're getting a cut of the UFC pay-per-views, it's dumb. According to Dana, the UFC is a company when it comes to fighter pay, but a sports league when it comes to monopoly allegations. There you go. I can't wait to see Pantoja fight for a belt. I'm with you. The boom roasted stuff from Askren was kind of funny, but it was cringy to me. Remember when Ben said he was going to beat Usman and Khabib? Yeah, Ben did a lot of talking and not a lot of winning in the UFC. Wouldn't say Ben Askren had Juliana Pena striking. That's an insult to Pena. You're very right. Leave Conor alone. Leave Conor alone. All right, man, I will. He invented shoulder strikes. I mean, I can't pick on the guy too much. You're saying you want the best fighters in the world, and the UFC is very selfish. If you care about fighters at all, you would want all promotions. I mean, I hope everyone makes money. But for me personally, I want to see the best fighting the best at all times. DJ is my MMA GOAT, incredible in every aspect of the game, never afraid of a fight, even under different rule sets, never popped for roids. Yeah, and for a lot of his career, he was fighting guys much bigger than him. Mighty Mouse was a true victim of his own success. Guy was just too good because it was a shallow division for the time. Exactly. The reason Mighty Mouse was not popular was because people never perceived anybody as a threat to Mighty Mouse. So people didn't care about the fights. Who do you think would win? Tony Ferguson? Oh my God, I don't know. That's your opinion on Ben Askren and Mighty Mouse, and it's wrong. You need to reread your sentence there. That's your opinion, and it's wrong. An opinion cannot be wrong. You can have a difference of opinion, but an opinion is not a fact, therefore it cannot be wrong. It's my personal opinion. What's next for Pena? Maybe Holly Holm is what I was thinking. Definitely not a trilogy. Or what are we laughing about there? Holly Holm retirement fight? Is that about the Juliana Pena thing? I hope it is. Yeah, clean fighters, it's 100 DJ or GSP, honestly interchangeable. Yeah, it's really is sad that we never got to see DJ versus some of the top guys at 125 pounds. Askren's striking is unbelievable. Best spinning back fist in the game. Exactly. I agree. Dude, how is Holly Holm a championship boxer, but she's not good striking? She just holds you against the cage. I think that was her last fight. But I get what you're saying. I don't know. Holly Holm's kind of overrated. Thoughts on the new UFC shoes? Let me go check them out. New UFC shoes. Is it the one? I haven't seen them. How do I look them up? What do I Google? Nick Brown. What do I Google to look at the UFC shoes? What do I Google? Let me know. Which past fighter were you really high on and it never worked out? At one point, I was really high on Derek Lewis. A long, long time ago, but only for a split second. I was pretty high on Johnny Walker, but not crazy high. I was high on Ciryl Gane after his first fight in the UFC. I'm trying to think of one that I was high on that ended up being terrible. I can't remember, to be quite honest. There's some, but like Johnny Walker would be one of them. I guess slightly Marlon Moraes. I thought Marlon Moraes would be the bantamweight champion and hold it for a little while. So I kind of him, but not really. I still think he was a killer, just had no chin. Yeah, Gane is good. That's what I was saying. I was just thinking of all the fighters in the past I've been high on. I was very high on Shavkat. I was very high on Fiziev. I mean, I have video evidence of that, so I can say that. Who else was I very high on that never worked out? I can't think of any right now that really never worked out like badly. Johnny Walker would be the worst one, but I wasn't like crazy high on him saying he's going to be champion or anything. Do you think immediate rematches are killing the UFC? No. I think sometimes we need them. Top 5 favorite fighters ever. In no particular order, Anderson Silva, Robbie Lawler, Jose Aldo. There's 3. Anderson Silva, Robbie Lawler, Jose Aldo. I like Khabib quite a bit, but I don't know if I'd put him in the top 5. There's 3. Who else did I always root for? I don't know. I'm thinking. Maybe GSP. I like GSP quite a bit for a while. Robbie Lawler was one of my favorites. It is still one of my favorites. Sad to see what's happened to him. I don't know. I can't think of any other ones that are like my favorites. Like I like everything about their skill set, to the way they fight, to their personality, to their interviews, all that stuff. I'm trying to think, but I'm just drawing a blank, honestly. I was sad when Da Ung Jung got KO'd. I was so high on him. Yeah, that does suck, but it happens. Hey, Joey, did you see Alex Pereira probably spelled his name wrong? Walks around at almost 230 pounds and has 10% body fat. I have no clue. It could just be mind games, honestly. Super high on Gamrot right now. Yeah, but he should have lost to Sarukian, so. But he is very good. I understand you being super high on him. Yeah, I think he could be playing mental games that could be fake. How do you think Edwards is mentally? Becoming a new champion, first defense at home, knowing that Usman was dominating him. It's going to be tough. I mean, he's going to make adjustments, but it's going to be tough for sure. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him going into that fight, knowing what happened in the first, but it could motivate him more than ever. What's your initial thoughts on Dumas's performance last night on the Contender Series? Did not see it, actually. Did not see it. Was that the like counter KO, right hand KO? I think I might have saw the highlight. I didn't see the fight, so I don't have any thoughts. Who's the top 5 best trash talkers in your opinion? I don't know. I have no idea. Can't sleep on Sarukian either. I think he's going to be 5. I think going through that 5-round adversity against Gamrot will help him in the long run. Yeah, I'm sure enough. It's disgusting. Lawler's going to get KO'd by Ponzinibbio in his next fight. Yeah, it's very sad. Can you see a world where John Jones is the heavyweight champ and calls out DC for a payday? No, he's not going to call out DC. He has 2 wins over DC. Why would he call out DC? Both Gamrot and Arman will be champion one day. I don't know. It's a tough division. It's a very tough division, guys. So only time will tell. Guys, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We're going to get ready and end the live stream here in a minute. So if you have any final questions, throw them in the chat and I will answer them. I'm personally high on Tatsuro Taira. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But yeah, we talked about him before. He has looked pretty good. But I got to go back and refresh my memory with how good he looked. I like that Rebecca guy from the Contender. He is very good. Fair enough. Ty said he's going to call Jones out after the win. I respect it, man. Ty has said he thinks Jones is the best of all time. The best to ever do it. The best to ever do it. So I respect it. I respect it quite a bit. Can you imagine if Tai Tuivasa KOs Ciryl Gane, gets on the mic and calls out John Jones? That would be incredible. That would be one of the most incredible wins of all time in call-outs. And hopefully the UFC would book it. Who do you think would have won between DJ and TJ Dillashaw back when the fight was getting pushed? Was he going down to 125 or was DJ going up to 135? That would factor in my decision. I would have picked DJ at 125. I would have picked TJ at 135. I forgot about that. And DJ didn't want the fight, which was weird. He wanted a big paycheck for it, which he should have gotten. But do you think Jones would lose to anyone at heavyweight? Yes. I mean, you're bound to get cracked, but I like his chances. I don't think Edwards is mentally strong enough to remain champ for long. Yeah, I don't think. Regardless if he beats Usman in the trilogy, I think that the belt's going to go in rotation. Pereira is very confident in another KO. Should Izzy go for an immediate rematch if he gets brutally KO or take time off? It depends how it happens. If he's winning the majority of the fight and gets KO'd, definitely immediate rematch. If he gets outclassed and then KO'd, no. TJ was going down. I'm high on Akram. I can't even pronounce the name. He is an Eagle FC. I'm not sure. I think I might have saw him fight on Eagle FC, but I can't remember for sure. I have to look into that. Who in the 155 division will be good in 170 division? Burns, Masvidal, Nate are all at 155, the fighters that went up. None of them really had a lot of success. I don't know who would have a lot. I don't think any of them would have a lot of success at 170. It's grappling heavy at 170. Those guys are big and strong, so I don't think any of them would have a lot of success. Well, all right, guys. I'm going to jump out of here. I appreciate you all for joining me. Do me a favor again. Don't forget to like the stream. And if anybody is watching this to the tail end, or even if you watch the entire stream live, if you start giving me timestamps in the comments, message me them afterwards or something along those lines, I will love you forever because I've been trying to timestamp these. I have some timestamps that I got for this one. But in the future, if anybody ever watches these entire live streams, if you can hook me up with timestamps, I would love you forever. You'd be an intricate part of the community. Like it would be different topics, boom, timestamp. And then in between there, we'd answer a lot of questions, just put timestamp Q&A. And then we go to another topic for a while, that timestamp. So if anyone's watching this after the fact and you can hook me up with timestamps, I would appreciate you in the future. Or anyone who watches live, I would appreciate it as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Don't forget to like the stream. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out my UFC Paris predictions. And I will be doing a live fight watch along for UFC Paris this Saturday. It's early in the afternoon. The main card's 3 p.m. Eastern time, so join me then as well. I appreciate every single one of you guys, and have a good rest of your night.